Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to the North Austin Muslim Community Center for the second class in the course of Islam 101, Basic Introduction to Islamic Practices and Beliefs. So I begin first with the praise for Allah, the one God, and the peace and blessings be upon His prophets and messengers from Adam to Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and their seal Muhammad. Happy to see many of you back from last week, and we look forward to continuing with you, and definitely the questions from last week played a big role as well in, I hope, illuminating the students and also giving us a chance to understand what sorts of questions are on your minds. So today actually we will start looking at the practices, and we'll start with the first most essential practice, which at first may seem that it's not a practice, that it's maybe should be under faith. It should be an article of faith. But the fact that it is a practice comes because of the actual action that is taken to testify that God is one and that Muhammad is His messenger. But we will look a little bit closer at the wording to actually extract some of the deeper meanings and intents of this statement, which is actually a very revolutionary statement. Because you will see as we go through it, it is not simply saying that God is one, but it's actually denying divinity to anything and to anyone except for God. And so this is why it's a very, I would say, a radical statement, actually. Obviously, for us as Muslims, we are at peace with that statement and we accept it. For those who are not Muslim, then this may or may not be something that will rest with them. However, you will see, I think, a lot of parallels between the testimony of faith in Islam and other first articles in especially Judaism and Christianity. So let us go ahead and get started. In Arabic, we call this word shahada. And a shahada is a testimony of faith. Or in this case, just generically speaking, a testimony. So for example, let's say that there was a court case and someone says, is there any witnesses that this person stole the nice and warm Round Rock donuts? Any shahid? Anybody going to give a shahada? Anybody going to give a testimony? They're pretty good, actually. Brother Saad usually gives me some, so thank you for that. So someone comes forward, he said, I will give the shahada. I will give the testimony that at 7:35 a.m., such and such person came from such and such place, and he looked such and such way, and he did such and such thing based on exactly, him being there, etc., etc. So this is the word shahada. Just because it is something that's in the media nowadays, another word that comes from this word or is in the same family of this word is something which is called a shaheed. A shaheed, also it so happens the Greek word for same thing, martyr, also has to do with this, which is giving the ultimate testimony. The ultimate testimony, which is one's own life. And so a person who gives his life for the cause of justice, or in this case, when we say the cause of Allah is all that is good, all that is right. So if someone gives themselves their life, they put their life on the line, in fact lose their life in that process, they would be called a martyr or shaheed, meaning he's giving his life as a testimony. And so, of course, it has been mischaracterized and abused and made into something else. But in fact, the original concept is one that is sublime and beautiful, that a person is giving even their own life for what is right, for God. So the shahada itself is a verbal statement. And it doesn't have to be written. And this is the only thing that is required for a person to become a Muslim. The sort of the ritual bath that a person performs for themselves, either before the testimony of faith or after the testimony of faith, it's actually not a prerequisite for a person to be a Muslim. It's just something that is recommended to do. So all that a person needs to become a Muslim is to state these words with conviction. If they state these words with conviction and then obviously follow through with learning the rest of the religion and practicing, then they are considered to be Muslim. So let us look at those words which are so important in terms of a transitional point for a person in their life. And in fact, for Muslims who have been Muslim their whole life and going back generations, they also make this same statement many times in the day, because it is connected to the ritual, as you will see when we get to that class, not next week, but the week after. It's connected to the ablution before the prayer. We say it also in the prayer. So there's an affirmation and reaffirmation time after time in the Muslim's daily life. So let's first look at the overall wording, and then we will, by God's permission and will, we will try to break it down. Or as one brother suggested, I use the word, we will try to unpack these words together. So number one, the first part, and I broke it up. What you see here looks really confusing because it's like, what is this? Ash Wednesday, Fat Tuesday? No. This says, actually, these are just phonetically. Is it too small? Whoa, okay. Something is weird with this thing. Okay, it's the cord. There it is. All right, mashallah. Brother Saad is the hero tonight, alhamdulillah. So what you have in the transliteration or the phonetic writing of an Arabic word into English, which is always interesting. That's the Arabic, how it sounds, and this is the meaning. So the first part, it says ashhadu, which means I testify. So we're going to look at this. What is really in this word, I testify? And then la ilaha, that there is no God. The joke we always make every class is that a Muslim meets an atheist and he tells, the atheist says, there's no way I'm ever going to be a Muslim. You Muslims, y'all are so unscientific, which is not true, by the way, but I'm not going to be a Muslim or this kind of thing. So the Muslim tells the atheist, well, you're already halfway to being a Muslim because you're already saying, I testify that there is no God. You just have a few more words to go, right? So we'll look at what do we mean by that there is no God? What do we mean that we do not give divinity or ascribe divinity to anyone or to anything other than to the real transcendent one creator and sustainer of the universe and its originator? So actually of the many universes. And then we will look at except the God, and more particularly we'll look at the word Allah. It'll come up again in the beliefs part when we talk about belief in Allah or belief in the God. And then this first part should be at least something that Muslims, Jews, and Christians have common ground. The second part here, which is, and I testify that Muhammad is the messenger of that God that is the only God. So this is where Muslims find their unique practice and unique belief system is based on what was revealed and taught by the last messenger to mankind, whose name was Muhammad, peace be upon him. We will look in depth at his life next week. So before we move on individually to each part of this sentence, or this declaration or testimony, shahada, are there any questions just about the overall?
Why is Muhammad's name spelled so many different ways?
Because it's in Arabic, it's spelled in one way, but it's an Arabic word, and so when you try to transliterate it into English, some people will have different ways to do it. So in Arabic, I will space out the letters. It's meme, and then ha, and then meme,